Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise playing in the street, gonna be a big man. Do you get that?
What?
Do you get that? Do you have? Whoa! I just came in so hot.
Yeah, what are you saying?
Do you get "We Will Rock You" vibes from our intro song?
I mean, like every time it starts, I kind of do this because I get like pumped up and ready to go, but not "We Will Rock You."
But it's like dun, dun, ch.
No, it's not like that at all.
It does it like once or twice.
Okay, I gotta play it one more time just to see. Yeah, I'm not getting the "We Will Rock You."
Will rock, dun, dun, ch. Na, 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 na. Okay.
I guess I'm hearing something else.
Welcome to Pick the Line, everybody. I'm Hannah Vaughn, and beside me is my lovely co-host, Ethan Micheal. Today, we're going to be covering polyamory and open relationships and all things non-monogamish. Is that so weird? So we identified our relationship today as non-monogamish because we're not quite open and we're definitely not poly. And originally I didn't know there were differences between open and poly. I thought they were both the same thing. I believe the person we have on in just a few minutes is the one who clarified that for us. And if you guys want to call in and talk to the people that we're going to have on today, or talk to your co-hosts, you can go ahead and do that. We're going to be talking about, all things that aren't monogamous. 951-364-2430.
Dude, I'm sweating bullets right now. I have no idea why, but I'm like pouring in sweat.
Do you have like meat sweats or something? Did you eat a steak?
Oh, no, I ate a lot of chicken though. Do you get chicken sweats?
Chicken sweats. Can I share some ADHD coolness real quick?
Absolutely.
Because I work from home and I don't chase around preschoolers anymore, I need more things to stimulate myself because I'm on a computer all day.
You bought more sex toys.
I bought toys, but they're not sexy.
Oh.
I bought like adult fidget toys. That sounds weird. But that's what I had to Google to find these adult fidget toys. And I have more coming, and I drop them a lot, but they spin. And
I think I need those.
And I do that a lot. But dude, I feel naked without them now. And then I'm getting some like really cool rings that just like spin now. And it just really helps me with like stimming and anxiety because I like pick at my arms when I have nothing to do and I have scars all over them from it.
Really?
Yeah. I have friends who have done that too. It's not just me. So if you're an arm picker, sound off in the chat. And if you would like to stop, not sponsored by the way, if you'd like to stop doing like annoying little habits, get yourself some like ADHD toys. Like it's so
ADHD toys. That's a good idea.
I just got them on Amazon and I'm stoked. So I just wanted to share that because I feel like that was like a little win for me today because they arrived.
I need some ADHD toys because when my anxiety gets bad, I just completely internalize and shut down. Like I stop talking and I just just go brain dead. I'm just so seriously like when I'm anxious, I just get so focused on my anxiety that I shut down. I don't talk. I don't do anything. I just sit there.
Really? Well, if this gets annoying at any point, let me know and I'll do it lower.
No, as long as you're not like.
All right. So I would love to welcome our guest today. And your mic is gone. So I'm going to have to do it. And I just met one of them like 5 seconds ago. So I know the first one is Secular Rarity. And Secular Rarity is our call screener, but also did you start your own channel? Where can people find you? What do you do?
So to like chat with people like I normally do when I hang out at this great channel, you do technically have to have like a channel on YouTube.
You have an account on YouTube.
Yes,
We can hear you, Ethan.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
So yeah, if you go look up Secular Rarity actually now on pretty much all the major platforms, there is technically me. I am there. There isn't anything really just yet. But if you would like for there to be things, feel free to go to those places and just yell at me until I do something. So.
I think that's a great idea. Well, we really appreciate everything you do for us each week. Our calls were a total mess before you, so thank you so much.
And thank you to the call screener filling in for you right now, Nate. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Nate.
All right, you ready to bring on our other guest?
Yeah. I know it's Lacy.
Yeah.
Lacy Jae. Lacy Jae. I met you 5 seconds ago, so I was like, shit, Ethan's mic better. I'm gonna call you something completely different.
Meowage?
You don't.
Oh my god. Meowage. Mowage.
Mowage.
Yes.
I've never seen The Princess Bride. I'm sorry.
So for those of you,
I don't know what to say to that. I don't know how that's possible. But
Lacy Jae, you have a. Do you go by Lacy Jae or just Lacy is fine?
Just Lacy is fine.
Just Lacy's fine.
Just
Lacy. Yeah, either way. Yeah, either way.
You have a podcast, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Called Mowage.
Not Meowage. Okay.
No, Mowage. It's not like a cat. It's just Mowage.
It's what brings us together today.
Exactly. Yeah. So the title is an homage to the movie The Princess Bride, but the podcast is my husband and I, and we talk about our marriage. It's not solely focused on being non-monogamous, but since that's part of us, it is also part of the podcast. So if you wanted to listen to that, you can.
Awesome. So how would they spell that if they were looking for it?
Mawwage.
Fantastic. Yeah. Not meowage. Mouth.
No. So I wanted us to jump into like the differences between polyamory and open. However, we already have a caller, and this caller has, I think, a really good question, which is a great way to start the conversation. So I'm going to bring Ameet on and let him ask his question. Ameet, you're on with Ethan, Hannah, Secular Rarity, and Lacy. How are you?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
So what question did you have for our panel?
What brings you here today?
I have actually quite a few questions, so I'm just going to ask, and you guys can shut me up whenever you think it's good.
Just do one question at a time.
Yes. Okay. My first question I had was, how is, and maybe you guys can tell me, how is polyamory different from ethical non-monogamy?
Yeah.
Either of you?
Yeah, who wants to jump in?
I think it's hard to define things because it's different for everyone, and you will find there's gray areas between everything. But in my experience, polyamory is kind of the umbrella term, and everything really fits under there that is not monogamous. My husband and I identify as ethically non-monogamous, and to tell you the truth, I'm not entirely sure how we settled on that. It just, after we were experimenting for a while, it just kind of felt like the right thing to say. And that's what a lot of this is about, is kind of just what you're comfortable with. Some people, I think, would draw a line and say that if you are polyamorous, it's more of the focus is on the individual relationship. There are no boundaries whatsoever. You may have several different partners. And you are in love with many different people. And I think a lot of those distinctions, what happens with the definitions is that it depends on what you're looking for. Like on one end, if you're swingers, you might be a couple who just likes to, can I swear?
Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, right. Like you might just kind of want to fuck everybody. And then at the very other end of that are people who are polygamous, they have loving, lasting relationships with many people, and everything in between. It's gray, and you're going to find people claim titles and they don't have the same exact boundaries. So I hope that answers your question.
Off of what you said, when you said kind of like going everywhere, I heard a new term recently, which is relationship anarchy. It's when there's absolutely no rules and you do whatever you want.
Right. And well, yeah, and you do find some of that where, like say you're on some of the poly dating apps, one of the great things about that is people in that community are very upfront about what they're looking for. And so it's easy to, I don't know, sort through that if you're looking. But anyways, yeah, sure. Like you'll run into a lot of people that are very particular about that and say, you know, you need to know up front that you won't be a priority. Like I don't have them. Everyone is equal. Every relationship I have is equally prioritized. That is not me. I'm married. I'm connected to this person in a lot of, you know, financial ways and legal ways and things like that. So I don't think that I could identify as that. But there are people who, you know, that's it. Like you get from me what you get from me, but there's no other like sort of expectation, I guess.
Well, if I could just jump off of that real quick, because I think it brings up some really good stuff. Exactly what Lacy said about it's different for everybody. So one of the things that definitely you'll find in polyamorous communities, non-monogamous relationships, ethical non-monog, all of these terms, open, all of these things. One of the biggest things you're going to find throughout every single one of these relationships that is similar is that at the end of the day, these people are actively talking with each other and deciding what label fits themselves. And that's really valuable. And it doesn't mean that anybody necessarily has the right or the wrong understanding. It doesn't mean that, you know, we just go read the dictionary and we just, you know, figure it out from there, or you heard one definition and you like that over, and all of that's fine, man. For me personally, when I reference myself as being polyamorous, one of the things I often express is the feelings and thoughts that were always inside of me that other people said different about. They said, oh, this is how a relationship is supposed to be. This is what love is like. You know, you can't do this with love, or sex this or no sex that. And at the end of the day, when I started hearing more people express openly these types of relationships, I went, oh, fuck, that's me. Like, I get that. I understand that.
So I had a similar experience where it was my husband. Now we've been together for 8.5 years. We've been married for like 3 or so. And he's my third husband. And I had 2 previous long-term relationships. I'm older than I look. I saw your face, Ethan, was like, so
my bad. I can't always control my facial reaction.
No, I can't either. It's fine. And for the record, you and I, it sounds like we could have a really awesome time, like sitting in a room, devolving into ourselves, just like alone and quiet, because I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
But the point is, it was always like, it was something that for me was always a curiosity, but like Secular Rarity said, you're told, at least for me, and especially, you know, at my age, when I was younger, there was nothing about non-monogamy. It was like, you just didn't talk about that. And
right. It was labeled wrong or bad. And now I find myself in that type of relationship. And I'm just like, this is all so fascinating to me. Like, I'm like a kid at a candy store right now.
Yeah. Well, I think like a lot of it comes from it's all about shame and ego and the idea that you can't be a loyal person if you're not monogamous, like sexually. And there's a lot of that's kind of wrapped up in it. But what I was going to say is I saw examples. I met people who were not monogamous, and I was talking to who was my boyfriend at the time, and now my husband, and was just kind of like, we both had a conversation and realized, we thought, well, maybe that's actually kind of interesting or something we might want to try. And it's hard at first. There's a lot of the ego that you really have to, and I shouldn't say at first, kind of always, because you're human and you're going to have these reactions of like insecurities and things like that. Doesn't
yes. Oh, absolutely. I definitely experienced that. I like jumping into things head first. Like, that's kind of why I like doing the show.
We're a lot in common. It's weird. I'm the same way. I'll dive headfirst into something and then like figure it out by how many mistakes I make.
Yes. Like, my first time at a swingers party, I was like frozen. I really was. Or first time at a sex convention, I was just like,
what have I done?
How did I get here?
The podcast does have an episode of the time that we went to a sex club. It happened very shortly before COVID, so we haven't been able to like revisit it, but we did make a podcast about it. I had a similar reaction where I was just sort of like the whole time. I couldn't do anything. I was frozen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
It's intimidating. It's overwhelming. You want to be there, but you don't know what to do and how to do it.
Yeah.
What do I do with my hands? Everything.
Yeah, and I mean, not everybody would necessarily react that way, but it sounds like we have similar anxieties that just like deer in headlights kind of thing.
Yes. Deer in headlights is the best way to describe my anxiety. It's just complete and utter shutdown of all function.
Yeah, I'm the
same. Ameet, does that kind of clear it up for you? I mean, it sounds like it varies from person to person, and
it's unfortunately not a black and white answer.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I guess that kind of leads to a follow-up question, which is, you said that, hey, there's a lot of ego involved and putting aside those things. I guess the question I have is, can anyone be poly? Are some people just wired for it and other people kind of aren't?
Well, I would like to jump in on this.
Instead of Rarity going like this, so I really want to know what it's about.
Yeah, it depends on where exactly we go in the conversation. I mean, one could bring up like, oh, we don't have free will, so like everything's determined.
We could go that.
I mean,
I have an opinion, but I'll wait. I'll wait for Ethan.
I'm learning a lot about myself through jumping in head first to a lot of these situations. Like, for example, this past Saturday, I did some, and I'm not going to say what, but some substance experimentation. And next thing I know, I'm involved in like a cuddle puddle of people, like everybody just cuddling. And someone described it to me beforehand. And I was like, what? Like, I would never do that. That's weird. I'm not cuddling with random people. And then like when the first person invited me over to cuddle, her husband's sitting right next to her. And in my head, I'm like, no, you can't do that. That's not right. That's wrong.
You're going to get your ass beat.
Yeah, exactly. But it was actually totally in that environment socially acceptable. And I went over there and cuddled, and it was like, whoa, this is so weird. And I also got to see like my girlfriend cuddle with other people. And I was like, I'm okay with this. This is fun. But I couldn't do poly. Like, I want my partner and I to be able to experiment sexually and have fun, but I don't want either of us going out and having full-on relationships with other people.
Well, so that's why
I
these
don't think I'm that type of person.
Yeah, so that's why these definitions are so hard, because really what matters, and I think what Secular Rarity was getting at earlier, is that people that in this lifestyle, which I hate that word, it sounds so 70s, right? Like, I'm in the lifestyle. But what really matters is that
the movement.
You understand what your boundaries are. Any partners that you have understand what their boundaries are, and you have to talk about them, and you have to make them meet. And so when you do that, really, like, whatever title you pick is kind of just like a bow on the top of it.
And I think getting kind of to the heart of what I think you're going for here, Ameet, is whether or not every single human being that lives on Earth currently, or has lived on Earth, or will live on Earth, whether each individual has it inside of them where they're okay with not only themselves engaging in these types of activities in a committed consensual relationship, but their partner as well. And I think at the end of the day, it's one of those things that it's like, it's hard to say one way or the other. I would bet you that if we were able to get an entire generation that was completely destigmatized from sex and masturbation and relationships of all different types and genders and everything, asexuality, if we had an entire generation that grew up in that, I bet we'd probably find some more monogamish or poly people. I bet you. But at the same time, I think there's always going to be some people out there that just wake up in the morning and say, it's just me and my loved one. And that's it, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong either way. And one shouldn't force themselves into either category. If you don't feel these feelings, dude, that's okay, man. Just be you.
Yeah, so people should absolutely not try to force themselves into an open or polyamorous relationship if they like know in their gut they're not comfortable with.
If you and your partner are interested in it, as with everything else sex related, just talk to each other. You're fucking adults. It's okay. Like
but okay.
Go ahead.
Fair, that's not all. You're right. It is okay. We're adults. We should be talking about it. But it's tough. It's not always easy being like, hey, honey, this is what I would like to try. It can be nerve-wracking.
Of course it's difficult.
Like for me, I came from a background of a lot of shame. So me expressing my sexual needs is me being selfish in my mind. So therefore it's shameful. And I don't want to pressure someone into doing something. So I'm like, oh my God, I just better not say anything.
That kind of goes back, honestly, I think to what Lacy was saying about the overcoming of the ego and stuff. So sometimes in relationships, it's not like you expressing yourself openly and just being able to say to your partner, like, hey, look, I know this is really weird, but you know where you do that thing where you kind of like stroke my back a little bit? Like, that's so uncomfortable to me. Like, but if your partner cares about you, right? They want to fucking know that. So you're not being selfish by telling somebody, hey man, feet stuff really gets me going. Or, you know, I just really want to watch you masturbate. Like, none of that is selfish if at the end of the day, what you're going for is a more healthy relationship, right? It's hard. Don't get me wrong, dude. It's difficult as shit. I'm not telling you it's easy.
It is.
I wanted to say, to answer the question about like, could anybody do it? I think it's like anything else. It's on a spectrum. It's, you know, where some people, are probably built that way. And some people maybe try it when they shouldn't. But again, you know, like if you have an interest in it, then sure, explore it. If somebody's trying to force you into it and you don't want that, that's also, I mean, maybe exploring getting the hell out of there. But I mean, it's up to you and your partner. It's all your boundaries. Yeah. And those change. I mean, those have changed for my husband and I over time with every experience. Because sometimes you're like, oh, this is my boundary. Jot that down. And then you actually experience that and you go, actually.
Got a little bit more space there for that line.
Yeah. The truth is we're going to move that right on back. So yeah, you just have to it's all about communication. If you can't talk about it and not just communication, but you have to know yourself too. And that's what a lot of like the exploration into the ego and like, what is my motivation? Why am I jealous? Why don't I feel happy for my partner? Like things like that. That's the kind of stuff you have to do on yourself.
Yeah, that definitely was a big part for me. And again, it wasn't something that, you know, I heard the one podcast, I heard the one guy say the 5, you know, bullet points about it. And then I went, oh, fuck yeah, I'm done. I figured it out. It took a long time to even come to where I am now. And it's a journey. You're not gonna, your sexual experiences are your whole fucking life, man. And it doesn't mean that it's done. It doesn't mean that we're over with it, but you know, really taking stock of why I felt that anger, right, at a partner in the past,
right,
or why I felt that intense sadness, you know, really exploring that more and more and getting to the point of saying things like, you know, one thing that made me really angry was the idea that, you know, at the time, this individual would find somebody else and wouldn't be there for me. And I was like, oh God, what if I don't get to see her boobs again? Oh no, you know, and
well, I think it's more than that.
Well, yeah, obviously, you know what I'm saying. I'm just breaking it down to be silly. But yeah, I mean, of course, there's those feelings that come up, and it doesn't mean that once you start down this path, you instantly flip a switch and you're just like, oh shit, I'm no longer jealous about anything whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's like not ever going to happen.
No, it's like, like you start out, okay, like I started out jealous with certain things, then less jealous with certain other things. And it's like, it's this learning where you're at, what you're comfortable with, what's too far. It's, I don't know. I'm just getting my feet wet right now. There is so much I want to try and do and learn, because I learn a lot about myself when
even just discussing these topics and where I'm comfortable going and where I'm not. And I would just like to emphasize the fact that it really is important to say when you're not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ameet, did that answer your question?
That also answers my question. Thank you.
Did you have any
kind of
other
hit,
questions?
like a couple of other questions on the way.
Well, go ahead, because you're keeping it going. So
Yeah.
what's your next question?
We're just we're just getting interviewed by you right now. It's awesome.
Hey, Ethan, you know what? One of these days, just invite me on your show. I'll run it for you. I'm kidding.
No, seriously, just ask us all the questions.
It helps, yeah. So what's your next one?
Okay. So this is the last related question. So the next question I have is basically, is it possible, is it common, uncommon for one person in a relationship to be, and I believe the word is a metamor, but for one side of a relationship to be monogamous and the other side to be monoamorous and the other side to be polyamorous?
Oh, yes. So I know someone that is in a relationship where they are monogamous and their partner is polyamorous.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer, is it common? Probably not. I'm not sure where we would even get that info, but it certainly happens. I've seen that myself. Yeah. I mean, and that's obviously, they've worked out their boundaries and they're okay with it.
I've met people who one of them is completely monogamous and then the other one is allowed to do up to a certain thing with other people. You're not allowed to have sex with people, but you can engage in certain play and stuff. And then there's people who full blown are you're allowed to do whatever you want with other people. And I'm just I lost one of my little things. Hold on.
And I think the most important thing, which I think we've already done a really good job of emphasizing this, but it doesn't hurt to emphasize this again, which is these relationships are entirely composed of consenting adults that speak with each other and compromise and negotiate. And that is the number. I mean, even in non-poly relationships, man, fuck, even friendships, just talk with your friends and be like, dude, I really hate this bar. I don't want
to or you really annoy me when you do this. Be open and honest.
Right. And in those boundaries, in those settings, you get to play with it, man. You get to do what you want. And if at the end of the day, one person says, this is what I want, and this is how it works, and the other person says, this is what I want, and this is how it works, and everybody agrees, no problem. If in those relationships, what's actually going on, which again, I agree with Lacy, I'm not 100% positive what information we actually have on this, studies or statistics or anything. But if in that relationship, the person that is acting monogamous, if they don't really want to be there, right? Or the person that is poly is being restricted against what their actual wishes are and desires, it's probably not going to work out, But then again, how many stories have we all seen and heard of the people that are totally opposite spectrum on whatever the hell it is, that have been together for 50 years and absolutely fucking adore each other, right? So it depends on how much effort you're willing to put in, for sure. And it doesn't mean you're a quitter if 2 years into it you realize this isn't for me. It doesn't mean you're a winner if you do it your whole fucking life either, though. It's your story,
Right.
I imagine a relationship where one person is monogamous and the other is not would be complicated and definitely have a very unique set of complications and issues. But yeah, I mean, really what it comes down to is if it works for you, then great. I don't think there's any rules as to, I think you've said a few times, can a person do this? Can a person do that? It's well, outside of abuse, yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Just have consent, with whoever you're participating with, and any situation is yours. The more unconventional it is, the more crap you might get from people about it. But if it works for you, then why not?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the basic like trend that I'm seeing with the answers here is just like it's an agreement between consenting adults, and basically damn the social norms that are there for no good reason. Am I kind of just
pretty much
like, at least close to it?
The relationship should be whatever the people involved in that relationship between the consenting adults make it.
Yeah. And people will object. People will object. I mean, you do have to be prepared for that. I actually, my husband's cousin got like drunk one night, I guess, and decided to harass me publicly on Facebook about how I had dragged my husband into some kind of like abusive, sick relationship. And
oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So people will judge you. They will judge
sure.
you, but you just have to you can't care, because it has nothing to do with anybody. Honestly, I think the people that get the angriest about it are probably the ones that are most curious and don't know what to do.
That's how it always is.
Right? I mean, it's like the most anti-gay are always getting caught. And
there are statistics on that, though.
There really are. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like, you have to just sort of expect that you're going to get a bad reaction from somebody at some point, and let it roll off your back, because it doesn't matter. Because if you, as long as you are in a relationship that works for you, who cares what anybody thinks?
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah. Ameet, does that answer all of your questions, or do you have another one?
Yes, that answers my I guess interview.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
This, like, man, Ameet, you just like ran the show.
Check's in the mail. We're sending it tomorrow to you, brother. Don't worry.
No.
Thanks.
I warned secular Rarity that I'd be coming with like a bunch of questions. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
It's awesome. It really is.
All right. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
So if you could, and if this is too personal, Lacy, I apologize, but you defined your relationship as like non-monogamous, correct?
Mm-hmm.
May I ask what that means to you two?
Yeah, sure. So I think the reason, sorry, I just like need my table. I think the reason that we kind of settled on that is because after some of our experiences and things that we had done, what we realized is we're open to the idea that one of us could fall in love with someone else, or both of us, or something like that. But we haven't crossed that threshold, not for any reason other than, it doesn't have, you can't just like walk outside and fall in love with somebody. Right. So, and so I think that's where we drew the line at ethically non-monogamous, meaning we don't really have boundaries so much as far as like, you can't fall in love with somebody, or you can't do this. We have our financial ties together, and we own property together. And there are certain things that are always going to be a priority, but we're open to anything else. Should we end up with a polycule and in love with a bunch of other people and things like that, we may change our title. Right. But for now, we date separately and we date together. COVID kind of hard for the poly community. But yeah, that's just sort of the title that we picked, and we're just kind of open to anything that happens in the future.
Do you mind if I ask a question, Lacy?
No.
Because I'm interested for sure in how you and your husband kind of work things out. So
yeah, sure.
Do you guys have, because I think this might be helpful too for other people as well. Do you guys have rules about communication before and after you're with another partner? If you wouldn't mind just hashing that out a little bit. I'm currently single, but I can talk about past poly relationships, but you're in one right now, so.
Sure. I think, you have to allow for a certain amount of privacy. because otherwise that's weird and invasive and strange. But oh, sorry,
I love Shane the Skeptic.
I know, I was reading that. Yeah, sorry. So so repeat your question one more time. I got lost in that comment.
I'm sorry for distracting you.
Just what were, so like, for instance, my partner and I, one of our agreements between each other was, you know, we don't have to stop the interaction and call the other person and go, hey, so, but what we do is the next time we're with each other and we have an opportunity to talk about it, we talk about it.
Okay.
And then from there,
you could just go with someone and then call them after.
In one particular relationship that I've had in the past, yes, and for other relationships, it was different because that was what me and that partner came to agreement on.
Okay.
So, like I said, neither one of us has had any like really serious relationships. I do have a comment. I can talk to you about that terminology in a second, but to answer this question, like dating, going out, you know, and seeing people and whatever, essentially, if we are going to see someone, typically what the information the other will get is, you know, who are you seeing? Where are you going? Just kind of, you know, be safe. Like, I'll be at whatever. Right. And what's on the table? Like, is there a chance that sex will be involved? Or are you just doing dinner? Do you plan on, you know, like a kiss or something like that? Mm-hmm. So just kind of what's on the table. Then as far as what happens afterward, you know, that really is going to depend on the boundaries of the other person. And so it's going to be up to the partner to communicate kind of, you know, as much detail as they're okay with it. And every relationship changes, right? But in the beginning, on just kind of a date, I'd like to be updated on what he's up to. But yeah, you know, as long he could say, yes, I'm going out and I'm staying out all night, and you know, that would be fine.
Yeah. And for me, again, in past relationships, definitely there were simple things like that you do where I would just say, hey, you know, I'm seeing so-and-so again. We're just going out to a movie, you know. In the past, again, like I said, there many times it would just be a whole update about who the fuck this person is, you know, where do I potentially see, you know, am I just getting to know this person? Have we, you know, been talking for a little while? Where are we in that? And exactly what you said, what's on the table, and kind of, you know, what potentially could go on between us. But again, I think one thing that I hope everybody is really noticing is it's all about doing your best to communicate adequately. And truly, like, again, we should just be doing that for everything, y'all. Like, we should just always be telling each other stuff if that's what we agree to, you know? But yeah, I mean, again, there are some people that have, what did you call it? Relationship anarchy? Where
relationship anarchy.
Yeah. Where it's just like, hey man, do you know, whatever goes on, goes on.
I couldn't,
and
I respect people who could, but I would be an anxious wreck if I was in a anarchist relationship. I don't know. Anyways, Ameet has one follow-up question. Thanks for the $20 super chat. Last question, I promise you can answer it later. What would you like to change to make polyamory more accepted by society? Sorry for all the questions. I feel like I'm interrogating you.
Stop bothering people about when they're going to get married.
Yes. Ask any questions you want, though, for the record. But yes,
I want to clear it up really quick. Yeah, Ameet, we adore you. You're my favorite caller. Sorry to the other callers. You can ask whenever you want. Thank you for the generous super chat. So yeah, anyone want to add to that? Sorry, I wanted to make sure I got that out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're doing right now helps that. Just talking about it, because I think, you know, a couple of us have already said it was just seeing somebody else doing that and going like, oh, so that's not weird. It's okay. And so just, you know, having these conversations helps to change it. Would I force any other kind of change? I don't know if that was the question. I mean, stop asking people when they're getting married because, you know, whatever. But I think more just normalizing it. It's just talking about, this is who I am. All of our friends know, all of our family knows, you know, So, you know,
and getting rid of some of these really pervasive ideas that have existed for really not that long, y'all. But like the idea that, you know, you're a puzzle piece and there are pieces of you that are missing, that only one other puzzle piece in the entire fucking box fits. And guess what, guys? We're not puzzles, we're people. And it's okay. It's okay if one person doesn't fill every single need and desire for you. It's okay if one person does. It's okay if nobody does. It is your playground, really. And all you got to do is talk with yourself and understand what's okay and what's not okay with you, and talk with the people that you're in a relationship with. Again, it's hard as shit. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm just saying those tend to be the things that work and are the most successful and healthy.
So there's a comment that I actually want to turn into a question. A Liquid Clone says, I wonder how many dates one would go on before telling their date they're in an open poly relationship already. Okay, so for me, while I'm not in an open or a poly relationship, and please, you two are, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that should be divulged prior to going on the date. Like, look, just so you know, I have a partner before you go out with me, because to me, catching someone off guard on the second date and being like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm already with someone, I think that's kind of crappy. Am I wrong?
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, I wear a wedding ring, so people know that I'm married if they're around me. If I'm going on a date with somebody that I've met on a dating app, they certainly know I'm married because it says it on there. And on a lot of the apps, my profile is linked to my husband. So, yeah, I think you should be upfront about that, because if somebody is looking for a monogamous relationship and you're not, you guys are wasting each other's time. So
I agree. Yeah.
And it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable, because sometimes it's gonna come across as if like you're just like, hey, so how many brothers and sisters do you have? Oh, that's cool. By the way, I'm in a poly relationship. Just wanted to tell you I've been fucking somebody for a really long time. But and again, like, it's okay. Dating, you're not perfect with dating. Nobody's perfect with relationships. But absolutely, do your absolute best to express that and bring that up as quick as you possibly can. Honestly, just like a lot of other things. I mean, if you're, for instance, there are people out there that are really sex repulsed by people smoking. And if that's where you are, that's totally fine, dude. Just make sure you tell that to the person, especially, you know, if they're like, hey, I'm going to go light up a cigarette real quick. Right. So
I was going to say, like, oh, you don't have to tell them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm not disagreeing.
Not to shame anybody,
no,
but they're gross.
Not to shame anyone, but you're disgusting. No, I was gonna say, you don't have to bring it up right away, because that might be presumptuous and awkward. But if it's been established that it's a date,
yeah,
probably looking for it to go a certain direction, and you should probably let them know where it's gonna go if they proceed with you. So
yeah, don't walk down the bar just going, hey, I'm poly, do you want to fuck? Hey, I'm poly. I mean, it might work, but yeah, I mean, know the person you're talking to.
I have a question for you guys. What would you say to the kind of situation where someone keeps trying to get into a monogamous relationship, but they end up just cheating all the time, and them going, I might as well just be poly? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah.
I say that's terrible, because your problem is not that you want to be with a lot of people. Your problem is that you're a lying, sneaking little shit. So you're going to do that. If you label yourself as poly, you're still not going to treat your partners with respect, because clearly that's your issue.
Right. And I mean, I'll put myself on blast here. I've definitely done things wrong in relationships in the past.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we all have, right? But just don't go around fucking people over, both literally and figuratively, and think that, oh yeah, like I'm just poly, like I just need to be in an open relationship. Because if you're not willing to have the hard work that goes into it, if you're not willing to sit down with somebody for like 2 fucking hours and be like, all right, so first date, can I kiss her? Well, how much kissing? Well, okay, first date, can we do? Well, what about if you're not willing to do all that, man? Whether you call yourself poly, open, whatever the fuck you call yourself doesn't matter. Lacy's exactly right. Like that's you taking stock of yourself. You need to do that. And from there, yeah, you may be poly, but you also might not be. And in either scenario, doing that is going to result in healthier relationships, and healthier relationships tend to have a lot of good fucking. I mean, not always, but they tend to. So that's cool.
Yeah, I always think that if you're going to have a hard time communicating and, respecting boundaries and respecting just one person, you're going to have a really hard time doing it when multiple people are involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I feel like I see some people just kind of use it as like a last ditch effort. I mean, even in relationships that aren't going well, because like one of the person's cheating, they're like, all right, we're just going to open the relationship then.
Yeah.
Well, it's unfortunate because then people, that's part of how you get the animosity, or people thinking that you're doing something horrible and something gross because it's related to this idea of like, oh, I just can't control myself. I've got to be out here doing, whatever, or I am deceitful, things like that. That's what people believe because of that scenario that you're describing. And it's unfortunate because that's not really the majority of the community.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, every like successful polyamorous relationship that I've witnessed, and when they've given me insight to how it works, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm only with one person, and like you guys are more honest with each other than I could ever possibly be, like it's just, it takes a lot of like maturity and communication and understanding yourself, and also caring about how another person feels. And then you're involving more people and you have to do all that for them. And I'm like, okay, cool.
I will say it can make a lot of those stupid little arguments. It can make them a lot easier sometimes. It can also make them a lot harder some other times, because sometimes when really all you're pissed off about is the way somebody put forks in the dishwasher, and like really both of you are fucking wrong, and the third person comes home and they're like, what are you guys doing? And you're like, well, yeah, and then somebody else can just come in and go, guys, it's forks in the dishwasher. Shut the fuck up. Like, then again, on the other side, if that person also has a particular feeling about that, it can. But again, that's the whole point. You got to talk with people. You got to communicate with people, and you got to be willing to say, like, I'm wrong. Like, you know what?
Yes.
You're right. Like, I was wrong. I shouldn't have flipped out about that. That was just me being stupid about it. It sucks, but again, it's how you get better.
Yeah.
Question from Allison. What advice do you have for someone who is ready to get back into the dating scene after traumatic relationships? That's a difficult one.
For sure.
Take your time.
Yeah.
Communicate, and don't settle out of like being lonely. Don't just jump into something. I have a weird rule, and I'm not saying everyone should apply this, but I actually don't trust someone until I've seen them drunk. Because to me, when someone gets drunk, they reveal who they really are.
Yeah.
If there's somebody that blabs their mouth, they're going to be, you give them the alcohol, they start blabbing, you're like, perfect. I don't want this person in my life. Like, that's how I determine who I can trust or not.
I do have to kind of counter that, because I know some people who are sober because of the person they become when they drink. And I know that they are wonderful people. Just alcohol brings out the worst in some people, and some people
that's
just
fair.
But some people shouldn't be drinking. But if you're going to be with someone who drinks, make sure you like them when they're drunk.
Yeah.
Or go, oh, okay, you're drinking tonight. I'll see you later.
Yeah. But I also,
to answer specifically about the coming back into a relationship after traumatic events, you have to really, really know what your boundaries are and be ready to advocate for that. And you're going to have to find a partner that is willing to understand that you might panic sometimes. I'm in that situation. My second marriage ended after infidelity. And so, yeah, I was really hurt when I came into my next relationship. And it took a while to understand how to draw boundaries, but actually being poly helped with that.
So where I have to agree is it's after coming out of, after at one point being in a traumatic relationship, it really did screw up my mental health.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't deal with the issues from that trauma, your next relationship will.
Yeah.
I have learned a lot about myself and my traumas just by having a partner again, like, and learning the things that really, I'm trying to be really careful here, but just learning the things that fucked me up mentally and dealing with them now in this new and healthy relationship.
And be willing to, as shitty as it sounds, honestly, but be willing to accept the fact that what you're dealing with and your past isn't necessarily what this particular partner can help with or is capable of handling, and know that it's okay for you to take care of yourself. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you start to express these things to them, and it's pretty fucking clear right away that they're not giving you the time of day at all, it is okay for you to say, this isn't the way that I need to deal with this. It's helpful for me, let's say, that being in a relationship and being able to talk with somebody, because I think you're right, Ethan. Sometimes you don't know about things until you're back in the relationship. Right. And sometimes you can really only work through it when another person is there. And if you're in those situations and you start to see over and over again that this person is not, I mean, honestly, just holding up their end of the bargain of the relationship. The whole point about these engagements with other people is that we care about them. And if you really care about somebody and they're telling you about the stuff that hurts them or has hurt them in the past and it still stays with them, if that person isn't responding in a way that is helpful and they're just dismissive and they don't fucking care and what, dude, bounce. You do not have to stay with that person. Walk out the door. You are absolutely fine to do that, and look for somebody else that is going to help you.
Yeah.
Oh, Brute Facts podcast says, "What's up, homie? Stoked to see Secular on. He is one of the most positive and encouraging people I know." I agree. He is honestly one of the most like positive, uplifting people I know within the community.
I do love Eddie Kroom. That dude is great.
All right, so we got to wrap up in just a couple minutes. Lacy, Secular, Elliot, is there anything you think we missed?
We could probably talk for another 4 hours. I mean,
I'm sure we could, but we got to
but
summarize it and keep it limited to like an hour broadcast.
I think honestly we've done a really good job, and you know, back to Ameet's final yeah, hell yeah, pat yourself both on the back, hell yeah. But you know, back to what Ameet was kind of saying there with his final question, you know, how do we make this stuff more normal? How do we get more people to not necessarily participate, but just how do we get more people to just be fucking okay with it? If you see 2 dudes and a lady walking down the street all holding hands, if you see 3 dudes all holding hands, what the fuck ever, guys, it's not your relationship. It's really not your business.
Mind your business.
Yeah. And if those people want to invite you in and they want to say, hey, come into our home and have dinner with us and let's talk and whatever, great, man. But if they're walking down the street and you say, hey, tell me about your metamor, and they're like, fuck off, then fuck off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't think we missed anything. I think we really it's very simple at the core. It's hard in practice because we're human and we, you know, struggle with everything. But in theory, it's very simple. You just have to know who you are, know what your boundaries are, and learn to respect other people's. That's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fantastic. I thank you guys for coming on. I don't know, like you guys just like did all the work for me today.
So
relationship, and it was one of those last ditch efforts. Like, we can't make it work because we keep cheating. Let's just open the relationship, and then we're like, that wasn't the problem. It's that we're not good for each other. No, hats off to you guys for coming on here and being so open with us and enlightening our audience. And thank you for the wonderful questions, Ameet, and those who sounded off in the chat. This was really fun.
It was. One last question for Lacy and Secular. Where can people check you out at again?
Oh, yeah, the podcast, if you want to hear more about my husband and I, the podcast Mawage, MAWWAGE. If you like The Princess Bride, you get the homage there. I don't know what your problem is, Ethan, but you have an assignment tonight to watch a movie.
I'm too tired. After this, I'm going to bed, but I will.
All right.
I'll let my girlfriend know it needs to go on the list, and we will watch it.
No, it goes to the top of the list. Jessica just finally added me on Facebook. I'm going to let her know.
But yeah, it's an audio podcast, but it's on every major app and a whole bunch of other ones too.
Fantastic.
If you could send me the link for that, because I need to put it in the description of this video.
Oh yeah, sure, I can do that.
And what about you, Secular? Anything else going on?
So there are a couple of cool things I have going on. One thing that I'm actually really excited about is in the middle of August, I will be doing a live hour and a half long discussion with a buddy of mine. So he has had an organization where he brings together people with all types of religious and non-religious backgrounds, and we're going to chat about that. Technically, again, like I said at the beginning, if you go on any one of the YouTubes or the TikToks or the whatever the kids are doing, you can find that name, Secular. That I'm not going to point to it. You get it. You can find that name, and there's really nothing there just yet. But again, just shout at me if you want to. Otherwise, you can find me hanging out at this great channel and a couple of other really cool ones. So
awesome. Well, thank you too. I'm going to put you backstage for a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that was fun, Hannah.
Yeah. What do we have coming up pretty soon? We have something really fun coming up.
We do?
Yeah, with like a lot of people involved.
Oh, yeah. Duh. So the August 14th, Hannah and I are co-hosting a fundraiser for the ACA. We've got over 30 guests. Pretty much, I can't say every, but I can say pretty much every single host you've ever seen. Sorry, pretty much every single host. Yes, yeah. I'm trying to make sure my statement's as true as possible. Pretty much every current host that is on ACA programming will be on YFNA on August 14th for an ACA fundraiser. We're talking the hosts of the Atheist Experience, Talk Heathen, the Nonprofits, Secular Sexuality, Truth Wanted. Yes, they're all going to be here, and I couldn't be more excited. In addition, we're going to have all the behind the scenes people too, the producers, the call screeners, the people who put everything together. So you're going to get to learn a lot about the ACA. The link is on my channel if you want to click it and go get a reminder. Actually, in just a second, I'll put a link in the chat so you can go ahead and click it and click get a reminder. We are trying to raise $1,000 for the ACA. And for those that don't know, the ACA has been instrumental in a lot of people coming out of religion. I know me, I am literally not only an atheist, but an atheist YouTuber solely because of the ACA. So they've been instrumental in my deconstruction and going from a Trump supporting Christian to an atheist liberal.
One of us. And for those who don't know, the ACA stands for the Atheist Community of Austin.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's got like a whole group of wonderful activists, and yeah, that's how I met a ton of people in this community too. Like,
oh, and guess what we got going on next week?
What do we?
I almost forgot. Dr. Daryl Ray will be back on the pickup line.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you did.
you probably messaged me and I don't remember. I know that we've been planning on having him back and it hasn't happened yet, but it's confirmed. Well, that's awesome. I'm happy to hear that.
Next week, the topic is swinging. So yes, I will be talking about my first experience in a swingers party with Dr. Daryl Ray. And for those that don't know, brilliant individual. And I cannot wait to see the discussion we're going to be having. It's going to be solely sex-based, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Talking with Dr. Daryl Ray is always just a fucking blast.
It is.
You're not going to want to miss it. Don't miss it, guys. Set your reminders.
So yeah, everyone like and subscribe. Also, thank you to our top tier patrons, Cindy PLAZA, Kenneth Leonard, Skye, JumpandShoot Oz, Secular Rarity, Philip Leitch, Kaitlyn Beyond, Toast, Richard Gilliver, Sunset Sarge, The Blazing Wizard Pope, Ameet Mathew, Chianti and Fava Beans, and Ray Sylvester. Thank you all for your patronage. Remember to like and subscribe and have a wonderful evening.
Wait.
What?
I'm singing at an open mic tomorrow.
Well, are we going to get to see it?
Yeah, I'm going to film it. But if you are in Austin and you go to the Cherrywood Coffee House tomorrow at 7, I'm going to be singing. I know. I'll film it. It's just like a little like coffee shop. Like there's like a piano and you like go up and sing a song. But I'm excited. I'll film it for you guys.
Good. All right. Thanks everyone. Hannah, it's been fun.
Bye. Thanks, guys.